need to do it, man.
Just be gentle. So. And I got to the point in my life, bro, where I would walk down the street and I was battling this because I thought, okay, what's the point of living? I'm just here, I'm an accident, I'm gonna die. Why should I live? Why should I wake up and brush my teeth? So the biggest bullet is this. Yeah. Even if the problem of evil exists, it doesn't mean there is no God.
But it means that the God is not merciful as we keep claiming.
But you were trying to deny God based on the problem of evil. So at least acknowledge it doesn't deny God's existence. It's not an argument against God's existence.
Okay, interesting.
So let's come through the door first, right?
Interesting.
Across this in my files. I keep files on them.
Assalamu alaikum, guys, and welcome to Declassified.
Assalamu alaikum, Zeeshan.
Walaikum assalam, bro. I have brother. How should we address you?
Just with my name, bro.
Your Highness.
No. Imran's fine.
Imran's fine, yeah?
Imran's fine.
Okay, so we've got brother Iqbal, who were you from?
I was expecting it, but not this soon, bro. Started early. May Allah help me. Imran.
What was it?
You're making my throat dry, man. I don't feel like this one of my speaker's corner. I've not felt like this in years. SubhanAllah.
Inshallah. This will get worse. So, bro, welcome to Declassified, bro. What do you think of the setup?
I actually love your backdrop.
It's average, isn't it?
Well, no, it's above average in thought.
Alhamdulillah.
Maybe average from a material perspective, but it's above average in thought and thoughts.
It's all materialism, bro.
Yep.
It's all going to perish. We're all going to die. Higher power, no higher power, bro. What's going on? There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in the world, bro. There's a lot going on with you right now as well.
You know what? I got the big one.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this podcast. In fact, this is the first time I'm meeting the brother Iqbal. First time in real life. Yeah, I've seen him old school back in the days. Yeah, with Sabah and
Sabah. Who's Sabah, bro?
You know the evolution guy from IERA.
Sabur.
Who's this bloke? What's his name? What's your name, mate?
Sabur.
Sabah.
You called me like 5 minutes ago.
I called you 5 minutes ago, Sabah. Let's start this show. All right, Sabah.
I remember, and I saved this for camera, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating. I saw one of your debates, bro, and I said, you know what? When I see this guy, it's when you had long hair.
Yeah.
I was like, when I see this guy, I need to kiss him on his forehead.
Go ahead, bro. I'm not gonna stop you. It's your podcast, dude.
Bro. Honestly, I need to do it, man.
Just be gentle, soft. Jazakallah khair.
I didn't think I would actually end up doing it.
You got tissue?
But I do.
I feel some moisture on my above my eyebrow. And it's not sweat, bro, by any chance. I know that for
could
sure.
be saliva, or it could be from the bottled water.
Let's hope it's from the bottle, inshallah.
Bro, honestly, in those days, in fact, even in these days, sometimes the atheists, you know, God bless them and guide them.
I mean,
but sometimes they really throw you off balance.
Yeah.
And sometimes with our daily lives, like we're going work and we're coming home, when family keeps us busy with bad diets and everything, we're talking about diets and stuff. We don't have time to look into all these arguments. And mashallah, you guys are doing your thing. And sometimes when you say these arguments, people like me were like, yo, that's serious right there. And mashallah, some of the arguments you guys are making. And the thing is, you might not be as popular as some of the other speakers, but you guys have been on the scene a long time. Yes. How many years is it?
I feel old when you think
1
about
year or 1.5 years?
No, it's a bit longer than that. I think it's been about
half a year.
5.5 months, more like, I think. No, about 5-6 years, I think, yeah.
5-6 years.
Mohsin's just given me a little 6 fingers, 6 years.
6 fingers.
Yeah, 6 years. Man. 6 years. Yeah, it's been an up and down 6 years.
Yeah.
And I was saying to you earlier, consistency is a big thing, which mashallah you've maintained on your journey on social media.
Alhamdulillah.
May Allah accept it and increase you.
Ameen.
And for most of us, it's not been the same case, but it's a case of, you learn from your mistakes and inshallah is a comeback.
Yeah, you clearly haven't.
There is a comeback in
Okay.
plan, inshallah.
Yeah.
And inshallah it's coming.
Inshallah. It's not here yet.
If I think this may be a big roadblock, this particular podcast in that in that happening, but
I'll make sure of that, bro.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you did.
I'll put your links in the description. The brothers that you check out your one video per
Well,
year.
at least just in one video, not like it was the case with Musa the other day. Says, when was the last time you posted? May Allah bless him. He's a brilliant brother, mashallah.
I mean, but
Yeah.
I definitely, would love to see more material, bro, more consistency. Allah make whatever obstacles that are easy for you guys. But definitely you and Sabur are old school. And definitely you guys that don't know, you guys need to know. And by the end of this podcast, you are definitely maybe going to know.
Inshallah.
No. Definitely going to know.
Inshallah. Whatever Zeeshan intends.
That's what I'm saying, bro. All right. So we've got Hamza Sortsis. We've spoken to Sabur. We've spoken to a few other people. But considering your thing is atheism, bro. Yeah. We want to get deep into atheism, bro. We want to declassify it. We want to deconstruct it.
That looks like something else.
I was trying to tear it open, but I can't.
Yeah. We'll tear some things open.
Tear some things open, definitely.
Yeah.
And what we want to tear open, bro, is, let's just say a person is atheist. Let's dig a little deeper. Or as Rafiki said in Lion King, look harder.
Yeah. I'll be looking harder.
I didn't look harder.
Right.
All right, bro. Let's jump straight into this.
Yeah.
What are the implications, mate, of atheism? Yeah, like what does it actually do? Like I know atheism is a big word for some of the audience. Yeah, we struggle with day-to-day vernacular.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does it do?
Okay, good. I think you've hit a very important point.
Oh, thank you, bro.
For once on your podcast. That's
quite
my
offensive,
probably
bro.
my only attempt to take a dig at him without making things worse for myself. But yeah,
Sorry, I don't. Is it working?
I think so. I don't know.
Is it?
Hello?
Is it work? Is it?
Where's this going now?
Is it working though?
It should be working.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's working. So yeah, atheism, I think is good. One thing you mentioned, which is to define what atheism means, because sometimes we were discussing this earlier as well, is that we put all atheists in the same basket, and normally when we come across or seem to come across quite aggressive towards atheists, which we're not trying to do, it's only addressing a certain demographic of atheists, not all atheists.
Yeah, like we think, oh, this guy doesn't believe. Oh, brother, you must believe. Everything has purpose. You have purpose. I have purpose. It all has purpose. But believe. Say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. What? I beg your pardon.
Yeah, something along those lines.
But the academics are like, what? These are brainwashed mugs. Absolute mugs.
Yeah,
The lot of them.
yeah. Not the lot of them.
Brown. They need to go back home, mate. You're Muslims. Are you one of the Muslims?
Yes, there can be a barrier, bro. Sometimes, there can be a barrier, unfortunately, among some people, But I think most atheists are not. I'm not saying you're insinuating this, but I wouldn't say most atheists are racist in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, some are. Yeah.
Some maybe. Some Muslims could be racist too, unfortunately.
Some Muslims are. Yeah.
But I think beyond that.
I know my grandma is.
Okay.
Let's face it. Bro.
I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna go there. But anyway, so yeah, atheists, bro. There's different types of atheists. I would say majority of atheists are not the sort of new atheist, the aggressive atheist who has an agenda against religion in general and Islam in particular.
Okay.
Most atheists are just nice guys. They're just looking for meaning and purpose in life. They want to figure things out. They want to just live like most people do, and they just associate themselves with the label because it's been popularized.
Them on YouTube with Richard Dawkins, because we look at Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, thinking that's all atheists.
No, they're a very small subgroup, maybe the top, not even top, the bottom 2%, I would say, of atheists.
But the loudest.
The loudest, yeah, and most people are sheep. It's sheep mentality. Most atheists just want to follow these individuals because they seem appealing. You know, the camera makes people seem bigger than they are. I'm not trying to say anything there. Because you know, physically, mashallah, you are quite you're a bit smaller than you look.
Bro, is this
on camera?
Is it working, bro?
I think it's working.
Do you just check?
It's working.
Yeah, it's
I think it's working.
Yeah,
bro.
it's working.
Yeah, so the point being that the media, the television, makes people look bigger than they are. So when it comes to Richard Dawkins and the Sam Harrises, it presents them as these leaders of atheism, you know, and most people don't even really listen to understand what they're saying. They're
mugs.
Wow, this guy's a professor.
Yeah, just write mugs.
This guy's a professor, and I'm trying to adopt a philosophy where we're not so aggressive as we were towards atheists 5-6 years ago. Because I don't think it helps in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
but you don't seem to think that at the moment. Hopefully, we could change that as we go.
Let's open to change, bro.
Inshallah. These guys are leading majority of people who call themselves atheists down a road. And it's unfortunate, to be honest. And this is where this topic comes in today, bro. Because when it comes to the implications of atheism, I don't think most atheists think about this. And I don't think most people that are leaving religion or on the verge of leaving Islam think about this.
Surely that's it. I don't believe in God, mate. I don't believe in God. That's it, mate. I don't want to believe in no spaghetti monster and all this stuff. I just want to believe. None of them, mate. I just want to live my life, mate. Evolution and all that.
Yeah.
Surely there is no implication. What implication are you referring to?
So here's the thing. Let's put it this way. You know, whenever you follow a view, you have a way of life. It comes with implications. So if you have a good diet, right, or you adopt a diet, it's gonna have implications on your life, right? It's gonna mean you don't eat certain things, you eat certain things. Your health is gonna change in certain ways in relation to your diet, right?
All right, Iqbal, let's get to the point. Yeah, you're kind of losing me a bit.
I was thinking you weren't getting the point, so I was trying to get to the point by breaking it down a bit.
No, let's not do that.
So I think you got the point, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so
let's get to the implications.
So the implications of this, bro, is that when you say you're an atheist,
what
you're saying, if you really understand what you're saying,
just get to the point,
is that there is no God. There is no creator.
I'm the one who said that bit, but that's what I said. They're saying there's no God. What does that imply?
I think the atheists that may watch this may be making it a little difficult for them.
They probably switched off long time ago.
Okay.
He's like, who's this bearded bloke, mate? He needs to go back home. He's a Muslim.
Oh God.
Off.
Let's just keep that to your analysis of your grandma. Keep it to that realm.
What are you saying about my grandma?
You said. I didn't say anything.
She's a really nice, God-fearing woman.
May Allah bless her. I mean.
So implications.
Implications, bro. With getting to the point.
God damn it, Iqbal. Just God damn it, man.
Okay, the implications of this. Yeah. There is no God. There is no creator.
Yeah.
Therefore, everything that exists is a result of what?
Chance.
Good. What else?
Random, unorganized, just unconscious matter.
Yeah, especially if you're a naturalist and a materialist, right? This is one subgroup of atheists, which basically...
When you say naturalist, I just think of just nude beaches.
Yeah, that
stuff.
That's one form of naturalism, I guess. But we're talking about the sort of philosophical...
Why are you massaging your leg when you...
Because I'm trying... This is my way of trying to get a point across, which is relatively simple, but
we've got kids watching, so please, just keep it simple.
I'm keeping it to my knees, bro. I'm just touching my knees.
Why?
My own knees.
Just don't touch anything, please.
Bro,
implications. Okay,
you should have thought about the implications of kissing my forehead and leaving a wet patch on my forehead. Before
God damn it, bro! I'm just gonna flipping hair about it the whole goddamn podcast, bro.
All right, so implications of atheism.
Sorry, I spoiled it a bit.
That's fine. Spoiled my.
Got the quick. Wait.
I wasn't the one combing my hair before the episode with a mirror.
Bro, trust me, if it looks off, it looks a bit... Are you happy with
it? Pretty much, yeah.
Because trust me, if that's off, like, you're going to be cheesed off at the end. You know what I mean?
That'll do.
Yeah?
Yeah, that'll do. Yours look nice, Marshall.
Bro, natural. When you're good, you're me.
Yeah.
Just remember that next time you feel
when you're
down.
Good, you're Zeeshan. Brilliant.
Implications, bro.
Implications. So look.
No God, no purpose.
It's all random.
All random.
It's all physical stuff. It's all matter in motion. There is no objective behind this.
Matter and motion.
Matter in motion.
Matter in motion. Like moving matter.
It's just atoms and molecules that have been whizzing around for millions and millions of years, randomly colliding into each other.
I get you, babe.
And everything we see in the world today is a result of that. If that's the case, bro, what does it mean to talk about purpose, value, meaning, justice, all of these concepts and ideas that we hold dear to ourselves as human beings?
But Buddha said that these sorts of questions are useless, a question of purpose and all that. Forget all that, mate.
Well, he may have said that, but I think most atheists still hold on to purpose and meaning and value. And what's interesting, I was reading a book recently by John Gray. He's an eminent British philosopher. Means nothing to you, obviously. But what he said may mean something to us today, which is that in the very beginning of his book, in the introduction, he points out, look, when atheists let go of God, right, they need to find a alternative, a substitute, right? And why? Because there is a need. Human beings have a need to find meaning and purpose in life. They can't do without it. It's just this innate need that human beings have. Now, when you deny God and you adopt atheism or naturalism, then you're in this void now. You don't know what your meaning is, what your purpose is. It means nothing. There is no meaning or purpose.
John Gray, who's this John Gray?
John Gray is a philosopher. He's a philosopher, or he's a political philosopher, I believe, but he's also interested in other areas too. His book's very interesting. It's called 7 Types of Atheism.
Smashed it.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting.
I thought there was only one type. Like, I don't believe in God, mate. Bish bash bosh.
No, there's actually many types of atheism.
Smashed.
Yeah, many types of atheism. So, and that's why it's good to know these things, so we could be a bit more nuanced. We don't just put them in the same basket.
Can you just give us a few?
What did you refer to Dawkins as earlier? You said he was a
mug.
A mug, yeah. So we don't refer to all of them as mugs, basically.
All right, maybe a teacup.
I'll have to think about that one, bro. We'll come back to that.
All right.
Yeah. Going back to the point. So look, there's a void.
A few types of atheists. If you just
there's many different. So you have naturalists,
okay,
and materialists, which are roughly the same. Which is that there's nothing beyond the physical. It's all physical. It's all matter, right? There's no metaphysic. There's no metaphysical realm. There's no spiritual realm. There's nothing beyond the physical. Then you have what you call mesotheists or mesotheists. I'm not sure how you say it. They are atheists who have a hatred towards God.
Smashed it.
They just like. They hate God with a vengeance. They want to just refute the idea of God. Their blood pressure goes through the roof when they think of the idea of God, right? Then you have other types of atheists which hold on to sort of a humanism, right? They're like humanists, and there'll be these groups will bleed into each other to some degree, but these are sort of general. No, they don't take off things. They actually are more concerned about what's good for humanity as a whole, basically, in a nutshell.
Are they like global warming activists and stuff?
You will find them amongst them as well.
Okay,
right. They'll find them amongst them as well. So you'll get these types. There's loads of, and then you get the general atheist who's just atheist by name but doesn't really care, just wants to live. Yeah.
So your main thing is that the implication of no God for them is purpose.
No, so the point here is this. One first key point is, if you follow through with the view, the hardline atheism that there is nothing beyond material sum of the world, and there is no God, there is no creator, and everything is an accident, therefore you are an accident and everything about your life is an accident.
Okay.
Right? And therefore all of these ideas such as having meaning and purpose and value and all of these things are meaningless.
Yeah.
They mean nothing. Where did you get these ideas from? What do they even mean? Right? So you're left with this void and emptiness. Right? And to be honest, if there are no principles, there is nothing that governs you, even morality comes into this too. There is no objective moral anchor, then anything really goes, to be honest, right? Now, the point here is this. If you follow...
You said objective moral anchor.
Yeah.
What's the difference between objective and subjective?
Subjective is when you go by what you believe is, right and wrong. You determine it yourself. Yeah.
And
you think something... Objective is where there's an external anchor to what's right and wrong, right? So, for example, everyone would agree that killing an innocent child is wrong. Probably the wrong person to ask this question to.
I mean, there's certain governments that are okay with that sort of stuff.
If you ask, but I was putting aside the point what governments think. If you have atheists in this room right now,
they say it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone. It's a natural. Yeah. It's just innate. You don't have to think about it. It's wrong, right? But for you to say it's objectively wrong, there has to be an external anchor that you're pegging your morality on. Otherwise, it's just your subjective opinion. Why is it wrong? I just think it's wrong. You see?
Okay.
So you run into all of these problems. Now, if you follow through with atheism, you'll end up in two broad camps, really. You'll either become a nihilist or an absurdist. These are philosophical terms, right?
Okay.
A nihilist is basically someone who recognizes that there's no meaning or purpose in life. They just follow through life is about nothing.
Miserable.
It's pointless.
Miserable
it's pointless,
mugs.
yeah. Miserable individuals, yeah. So if you fall into that camp, bro, then see, I'm starting to lose my trail. This has never happened to me before, subhanAllah.
You said nihilists.
Yeah. So nihilist. So if you're a nihilist, you're basically you acknowledge that there's no meaning.
Yeah, miserable.
This life is about nothing, and this is why many philosophers wrote about suicide. That's the most rational thing to do, is to commit suicide, because there's no meaning behind anything.
And that's why there's literally an epidemic in countries like the US, and you've got Scandinavian countries.
Absolutely.
And also Europe as well.
Absolutely.
And the other type you said
is an absurdist. Absurdism is so what that position is basically is that you recognize that life is meaningless and there's no purpose or value, but you continue to look for meaning and value, and you continue to live. So it's that absurdity that you're living with now, which you know there's no value or meaning if you hold, but still you keep
like a paradox.
You still keep trying to find meaning and value because it's so intrinsic to the human condition, right? And there's a famous philosopher who actually this view is ascribed to, mainly a French philosopher from the 19th century. His name was Albert Camus.
Crusoe.
No, Albert Camus.
Camus.
No, I don't know who Crusoe is, bro.
What was it? Who's that Crusoe guy?
Crusoe?
Is that Robinson Crusoe?
No.
You know,
Albert.
Pink Panther.
I know Pink Panther. Yeah, I know Pink Panther.
Yeah.
Was Pink Panther an atheist?
That's a good question. Can you stick to the subject,
yeah,
please?
let's stick to the subject, yeah.
You know this.
Oh, yeah, it's me that's detracting from them going all over the place with Pink Panther and kissing foreheads.
That's what I'm saying.
Bringing grandmothers to the party.
You know, it's the first step is to admit the problem, and then we can
Okay.
So the nihilist, and the other thing is
nihilist and absurdists, right? Now, so basically, the position you'll end up with is life means nothing. You have the best thing you could do is just deal with it and get on with it, right? And try to find your own meaning and value. And this, bro, is a very dark place to be for a human being, right? Because it just goes,
it's better than believing in some make-believe thing.
Well, is it? Let's think about that for a second. Because if life means nothing, there is no value, there is no purpose, there is nothing to drive you. Why even be an atheist? What drives you to be an atheist?
But they will say atheists, like the atheists because isn't it true that, forget 7 different types of atheists. Yeah. Anyone can say, I'm atheist, but I don't believe that bit. I believe that.
Yeah,
bit.
Of course.
I don't believe these two.
Yeah.
Like I think Sabah was talking with Aaron Ra.
Aaron Ra.
And that guy.
You remember Aaron Ra's name, and you couldn't remember Sabur's name.
No, but look, Sabah was speaking to Aaron Ra, yeah. And then there was he couldn't even understand. He couldn't even answer questions of philosophy of science.
Yeah, because
he was getting cheesed off. He was like, "Oh God."
I did an episode on Sabur on epistemics, which is a little plug, a podcast that I'm trying to run, which will inshallah be more than one episode, one video.
Well, let's see.
But yeah, he's done an analysis of that debate, and he goes into this, and he points out, look, Aaron Ra doesn't know the philosophy. He just does the science. He knows his stuff in science, but because he doesn't understand the philosophy, he makes a lot of errors and mistakes. But yeah, going back to the point, I've went through a phase myself in my life where you can consider me to be an agnostic, someone who didn't care about God, the existence of God. I never denied God, but I didn't care. And I got to the point in my life, bro, where I would walk down the street, and I was battling this because I thought, okay, what's the point of living? I'm just here, I'm an accident, I'm going to die. Why should I live? Why should I wake up and brush my teeth in the morning?
Astaghfirullah, brother.
The only reason
you have no taqwa.
The only reason I share
no
this,
iman. You need to pray the salah.
See, if I was worried,
to read the Quran.
If I was worried about uncles like you bashing me down, bro, I wouldn't share this. But I think it'll be beneficial to people that.
Your iman was weak, brother. So, bro, that's clearly something wrong with your iman, brother.
It was at the time, yeah. I didn't know anything. I didn't know much about Islam.
Okay.
And there's many people in my boat, bro, and you're probably offending a lot of people that were in my position right now.
No, but I was hoping you're going to defend it by saying, you know what? That doesn't really indicate weakness of iman. Sometimes it could be a person's circumstance or something that.
No, it can. It could be both.
Through.
But I think it's irrelevant. I think the key thing here is people will go through phases. Muslims go through phases too. And I went through a phase where, and because of the lack of knowledge I had and the connection I had with Allah, and I didn't really care. I was brought up in a very secular type of environment, typical Pakistani environment. I'm sure you know much about that too. There you go. Dil.
Pakistan.
Pakistan's playing today, India, you know that.
Yeah, but by the time the podcast goes out, we would have lost by then.
Let's see what happens, inshallah. I'm hopeful, inshallah.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't have said that, bro. I'm going to leave that in. And then
You can leave that in, bro. I watch cricket. I don't watch football, I watch cricket.
Don't say cricket, bro. You're offending a lot of Asians. It's pronounced, Asians pronounce it cricket.
I was going to say cricket. Cricket.
Cricket. आपने cricket देखा है?
Cricket.
Cricket. Try cricket.
Cricket.
There we go, bro.
Like
You're
that,
nearly
yeah?
there, bro.
Inshallah,
You're nearly there, bro.
On Zeeshan's level of pronunciation.
Let's not go that far, but
Close enough, hopefully, inshallah. Getting there.
Progressing.
Getting there. Okay.
Let's jump back on this point. It'd be interesting for you to give a few points. Maybe we leave this at the end where you can give from your own experience. But the real options. What are the real options for someone who calls himself atheist? Let's dig a little deeper now. We're halfway.
Yeah.
I think we're halfway. Let's get a bit deeper.
So I think it relates. So I got to the point where I realized what's my options.
Yeah.
Right. I thought, hold on a second. If I keep living with the way I'm living and holding on to the beliefs and thoughts and that I'm holding on to, the only real options are you recognize that your worldview is flawed, or the way of life you're holding on to is flawed, and you need to look for alternatives, or you maintain your worldview and you just live with that absurd reality, man. You just deal with it. Right? And that's what people like Dawkins will tell you to do. Oh, we are brave enough to deal with this. We'll just have to be brave enough and carry on living. Right? So those are the two real options you have. But I really believe, bro, that the human being, the way we feel, that's a sign. Right? The fact that when someone says to you, you don't have meaning or purpose or value in your life, and you're like, deep down inside, you're like, hold on a second, what the hell are you talking about?
But you wouldn't believe in something just for the sake of it, just to protect you from a certain feeling that you'd have.
Of course, but then again, most of the things we believe as human beings is based on intuition and feeling, bro. We go with what we feel. Yes, we engage in rational...
Christians feel that Jesus is God.
Yeah.
And Hindus believe Ganesh, the elephant god, is
absolutely
is God.
Absolutely.
So they believe in their intuition. So
well, I would say the intuition probably is more so that there is a God, and then the conception of God is based on whatever they've been taught.
Okay.
And then they worship. Worshipping God is again something natural, and worship is something natural. Every human being has a tendency.
Conception is something that's taught.
Yeah, conceptions are taught, right? So I mean, take a child and put him on a desert island. Would he end up growing up believing in the concept of the Trinity naturally? I would argue he wouldn't. He may grow up believing that there is a cause to the universe. There's a creator. There's something there. What, by the way, some research is suggesting, people like Justin O'Barrow and Oliver Petrovich, but to end up with a specific concept of a God, such as that there is a God for money and there's a God for, for food and there's a God for X, Y, and Z, I don't think they would end up with these type of conceptions of God. But that's a different topic. I think if you recognize, so for example, if you feel, say you're doing exercise, for example, which you obviously don't do much of, seems like.
I'll take that on the chin.
Say you're doing exercise, but I'm sure you've tried, right? Say you're doing a set of reps on bicep curls, When you start feeling that pain, what do? You just stop, isn't it? You stop, right? It's a sign for you that, okay, you're pushing yourself. You may push a bit beyond the pain, but then you're like, okay, if I do any more, I'm going to tear something. So it's a sign for you to stop. In the same way, when it comes to this subject that we're talking about, when your worldview makes you feel a certain way, oh, I have meaning, I have purpose. What do you mean I'm just an arrangement of atoms? I'm just a brain, I'm just matter. I'm not that, I'm more than that. That feeling is a sign for you to stop and check your position and reevaluate. And it's powerful, bro. Allah says in the Quran, that those that turn away from His remembrance will have a very difficult, depressed life. Ma'ishatan danka. Even the word, just say the word danka. See what happens to the back of your throat. Danka. It's like you're all and that's the beautiful thing about it. You're choking, literally, even in the way you pronounce the word.
Danka. So what you mean?
It makes you realize, subhanAllah, that, and well, besides the point that the word itself, in the way it sounds and the way it's articulated from the vocal cords, you get the feeling. It adds to the meaning of the word. But Allah makes it clear you will have a difficult, depressed life. Ibn Kathir, when he comments on this particular verse, he highlights that this type of person could have everything in the world, but he will still feel like something is missing.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm not saying that this can be plastered on all atheists, but Christopher Hitchens, he was very close with the old whiskey bottle as well. And a lot of these guys do admit that there is what drives you in the morning to get up? I mean, if everything's going to become dust, what drives you to look after the planet Earth? What drives you to have affection with your kids if you just know that, you know, we're all, like you said, particles in motion?
We're an accident, bro. According to them, we're an accident.
But okay, so that's one main implication that you're driving. Are there any other implications apart from lack of purpose, lack of direction, depression?
Yeah, I think it's a significant one, and it's one that's kept in the closet. They don't really talk about much, right? You wouldn't hear atheists go into this topic and discuss this much, because it's such a big problem, right? It's such a huge problem, and I really believe much of, not all, but much of people that go through sort of existential crises and a lot of depression is related to meaning and purpose, right?
Okay, so let's just
I'll give you an example. Okay. Book recently written by an individual called Ali Rizvi, ex-Muslim, ex-Shia Muslim. He wrote a book called The Atheist Muslim, right? And in it, he gives an example where when people leave faith, leave Islam, they go through a crisis, right? He even cites examples of a guy hanging himself off a tree, right? And that's the extreme, but this happens because you human beings are not designed to thrive off this idea that we're here and we're an accident. We're designed to thrive off Tawheed and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you don't do that, you will suffer.
Just hang off a tree, isn't it?
Yeah, that can happen, and that's serious, bro. As far if we're going to talk about implications, I would say that is more than enough for people to really reconsider such worldviews and ideologies, you know. And there are other implications, such as you don't have an account for morality anymore. Yeah, you don't have an account for your.
What does that mean, though? If a person doesn't have account for morality, what does that imply for wider society?
It's dangerous, bro.
How so?
It's dangerous. I think there was a recent philosopher of the 20th century, Jean-Paul Sartre, if I'm not mistaken. He said something. Jean-Paul Sartre. I think Sartre. I think that's how you say it. He said something. His whole thing was going off this whole nihilistic outlook on life. He said, look, he was afraid about the freedom that would result from such a worldview, and it was an interesting take.
Frank Sinatra said that.
No, Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay.
Not Frank Sinatra.
Potato.
Yeah, same thing. As long as you get the point. That's what's important. Not who said it, but what was said.
I haven't got the point now either, bro.
So his thing was, bro, that if it's all random, there's no meaning or purpose behind everything, there is no creator God, you know, that's going to dictate and tell you what's right and what's wrong, then you have this immense amount of freedom. You can do whatever you want. Anything goes. Now you can imagine, if you follow through with that type of thinking, anything goes mentality, what that can potentially mean for society.
But a lot of people, like in the UK, like over 50%, they're saying they're not Christian anymore.
Yeah. We can see the moral and social degradation of society in the world that we live in. Materially, people are doing well, right? From a technological perspective, we're advancing.
Well, apart from depression, what really is not going well?
Well, take certain social realities such as the breakdown of families. You know, the
families are still together. Like, what do you mean?
Well, we don't have the family structures dissolving now as well, bro. People don't care about. Look at the amount of people that have been elderly people that have been sent to old age homes.
Well, you know, someone can argue that there's better facilities in place.
Yeah, but my question, the point here isn't that there's better facilities in place. The point here is, why would you take someone that's taken care of you all of your life and just resign him to a care home?
Because they need better care and better support.
But what about that emotional care and emotional support they would want from a son or a daughter?
Okay,
you know,
fair enough.
And more about your mindset. How can you do that? Someone that's given you everything you have in your life and taken care of you and made you who you are today, and you just chuck them into an old age home. Yeah. That's one example, right?
Yeah.
But that family structure is breaking down. People are becoming very individualistic.
Are they?
Well, they are. Look at. I'll give you. See, I don't think atheism is in isolation. Yeah. Right? Normally we bang on about this atheist worldview. Why is, and this is another interesting question, bro. Why is atheism supposedly on the rise if it's such a flawed worldview and it has so many problems and has so many flaws? That's something that someone can ask. You just point out, here's a big flaw that it can't give you account for meaning and purpose. I believe it's tied in with other things in the world that we live in today. I believe it supports materialism. It supports consumerism. It supports the capitalist
system. Capitalism, that's something that's pushed by, obviously, the governments. They're making
think about it this way, Zeeshan,
Yeah.
If you look at the capitalist
high five
outlook on life,
it's no time for a high five, though.
Yeah, it isn't, bro. It's a very, very scary thing when you think about it.
I'm like, why is he doing that randomly?
You went for it first, so I just support it.
Bro, I'm not going to leave you hanging, bro.
Okay, alhamdulillah. See,
Yarhamakallah.
this is something that Islam gives, is brotherhood. You don't leave each other
Can you
hanging.
just stick with the point?
Yeah, I'll stick with the point, bro. Okay, going back to the point.
I'm just joking, bro.
So look, what's capitalism all about?
It's just about making the rich richer and the poor poorer.
The competition to outdo each other, regardless of what's happening on the ground, on the grassroots.
More money.
Yeah, exactly. So to drive that, you need to create this need within society for the product, right? You have to build consumers. How do you get consumers? You have to sell them the vision. You have to sell them the materialism, right?
Do you think it's being pushed by the government and the powers that be, atheism?
I believe there are certain individuals who are pulling the strings to whatever extent they are, which is facilitating this whole system. Because look, atheism is just a piece in the machinery, right? And I'll tell you what the link here is. It's this: when you disconnect the human being from God, there is a void, there is an emptiness, as we've discussed in this podcast. Because that void and emptiness is there, the human being will now be like fish out of water. He's flipping around trying to find something to replace the emptiness with. The easiest thing to replace it with is what's right in front of you. Here comes the dream for the capitalist: to show them the material world, sell them the dunya, sell them the world, right? You need this, you need to buy this product, you need to invest in this, you need to get this, you need to get that, you need to buy this car, X, Y, and Z, right? And what this does is that people now start running after these material things, and temporarily it satisfies them. But in the long run, it doesn't. You buy a new car, bro.
That's where the pharmaceuticals benefit from that
Absolutely.
as well. Just tablets, depression tablets.
You say you buy, and what happens, bro? Look at the rich and the affluent. They buy a new car, a few weeks later it's just a car. They want to buy another car. They want to buy another car. And this adds to, this supports their agenda of keeping these people in the loop of buying, consuming constantly. Fine, he's got another car. A few weeks later, let's just advertise him another car. I have a phone. I have an iPhone. How many times does iPhone produce a new phone? Every year almost, right?
Yeah, every year.
My iPhone 8 Plus is working just fine. Apparently now there's upgrades that come that basically slow the phone down and create the need, right?
Well, excuse me, bro. If we're not using the fancy phones that you're using, bro, flip.
Sorry, bro. I forgot you were still on the 30-10 flex. But yeah, so look, here's and I think it's very interesting from that perspective that there is a tie-in with all these things, and if we go back to the Quran, Surah Kahf, very interesting story. The entire surah is about, I believe, materialism. It sort of draws our attention to the traps of this material world.
Okay,
right?
interesting.
And the scholars have mentioned this too, and it's a surah that I've studied recently and I've really paid attention to, because I think there's some very deep lessons. And we know the Prophet ﷺ told us that at least memorizing the first and the last part of the surah is protection against Dajjal.
Subhanallah.
Right? And now Dajjal
is not a good bloke.
No, of course. And he's going to incline people to the material when he comes.
Class A mug.
Right? Exactly. And I would agree. There you go. Touch on that, bro. Finally, I'll agree to the use of the term mug for once. But we know, right? We know that he will incline people to the material. Dajjal, the word itself is interesting because it also holds the meaning to take a cheap metal and to gild it with something expensive like gold, right? So it's to gild a cheap metal with gold. Now, if you look at the dunya, we know how lowly it is, and Allah tells us in the Quran, but it's almost been gilded. The glitz and glamour of the world has been presented.
Yeah.
And what's very interesting in that surah, one of the stories is about the gardeners. Without going into too much detail, but at one point the guy, he goes to his garden and he looks around at his garden and he's like, you know what, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I don't think the day of judgment is going to come. And here what's captured, bro, is a moment where we realize that attachment to the dunya will delude you of the hereafter and your creator. So it's almost like a vicious cycle. The more materialistic you become, the more atheist you become in nature. The more atheistic you become, the more materialistic you become.
You said it's a cog in the big machine.
Yeah.
Who's pulling the strings? Who are these people?
I don't know who the people are specifically. Obviously, there's people that have spoken about them in the past. There are links that are made. There's loads of documentaries and videos and stuff out there. Obviously, a lot of this comes under the conspiracy type of tagline, but I'm sure there's a lot. I really believe there's a lot of truth to this as well.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I know you've covered some of this stuff in the past.
Briefly, yeah. But a lot of people, you're right. They do disparage them. Say, nah, it comes. They just put under the word conspiracy.
Yeah.
In fact, this term conspiracy was actually coined at the time of John F. Kennedy's death.
Right.
It was actually pushed forward to kind of just discredit any theories or whatnot. So, yeah, I'm glad, bro, that, and to be fair, I do think the atheistic agenda does fit in with anybody that's pulling strings, and we know there are powers that be that want to increase their power and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's important to realize that atheism is not in a vacuum. It's not just this entity that just exists in and of itself. Because if you really analyze atheism in and of itself, you see how weak it is as a worldview, as a position. Can't make sense of anything, right? Not even life. So I believe it's been driven by other things. So it fits into the system, and then the whole system works together, you know, and it self-sustains itself. And it's unfortunate because people, you know, people are being kept away from this whole idea of what's coming after life. You know, death is something that's not spoken about.
All right, bro. So we've spoken about Frank Sinatra, about Pink Panther, about kissing people on the forehead.
Yep.
Let's now speak about more serious things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the last segment now, you've been bashing atheists left, right, and center. No shame whatsoever. Just destroying them, just roasting them, just shunting them. Now, mate, give them a solution. Yeah. Give them a solution. Talk a bit about when you were in that zone and what helped you, and practically, because you can't just say, mate, it's gonna make you depressed if you're an atheist. You got to give them something practical. Give them some steps, mate. Let's do this.
Yeah. So practically, first point of action, I guess, is to realize something isn't adding up. That's something that the individual would do themselves, right? This is something to be recognized, you know, throughout history, that these positions don't give you as far as anything from a meaning perspective.
Okay, so listen to
yourself. Listen to yourself, right? Stop listening to the Dawkins and the Harrises and
the Frank Sinatras and all of them.
The Pink Panthers, all of them, yeah. I don't think Pink Panther spoke. Did he?
That's a very good point, bro. Yeah. That's the most important point you've made on the entire podcast.
SubhanAllah. Okay, yeah, so bro, you need to get into Speaker's Corner, man. I'm telling you. You'll be dynamite, bro, in Speaker's Corner. I'm telling you. SubhanAllah. Okay, anyway, so look, the first thing is listen to your gut, right? Yeah. And the second thing is, look, use the faculties you've been blessed with of reason and rationality and intuition, you know, and all of these faculties you have as a human being, and keep searching and keep looking. Now, I believe, and we believe, Islam is the solution.
What?
Yeah, and here's the thing, bro. Again, the powers that be have painted Islam in such a way that the only solution to the problems of humanity has been shown as the enemy. Yeah. Therefore, as soon as you're now looking for a solution, you're shining a torchlight into the sort of realm of solutions, and you're coming across, Christianity, you know, X way, Y way, Islam, forget Islam. Yeah, you're not even going to look at it, right? You're not even going to pay attention to Islam, right? And that's unfortunate because, and the way it's done is, look, here's a thing in Islam, you know, it says do this, or X, Y, Z is torture this person, do this person. Misrepresentations anyway, right? But what's been covered is the essence of Islam, which is the underlying philosophy of Islam. Which is the solution, which is what? God created the human being with a very clear, definitive purpose, which is to know Allah, Allah meaning God, and to worship Him, right? And it's through the worship and submission to your Creator that you will find who you are, and you will find peace and tranquility in this life, right? That is the solution. That is the answer, right? So and the need to worship is there within every single human being. That everyone knows
find yourself when you find God.
Yeah, Allah says, don't be like those who turned away from the remembrance of Allah, and Allah made them forget themselves.
All right, mate. So you said Islam, yeah? So what makes Islam stand out from the other religions? Like, for someone watching, they're like, all right, let's see about Islam. Like, what's the deal? Or somebody might be a bit 50-50. Yeah. There's loads of religions out there, mate. Yeah. Loads of religions.
Yeah.
What makes Islam the right religion, mate? It's proper confusing, mate. Give us the litmus test.
I think the first thing someone needs to do is read a good translation of the Quran.
Okay.
Right? A good translation. Right? I would recommend Abdul Halim's translation by Uqsul Press, or Dr. Mustafa Khattab's translation, which is the Clear Quran. Okay. Read a good translation, because one thing would happen. The Quran, as some of the scholars pointed out, the verses, the ayat of the Quran are in line with human nature. They speak to the fitrah, the human nature, the self. So when someone reads, for example, Surah Ikhlas, the 112th chapter,
resonate with the
it will resonate.
Spirit.
and there'll be this acknowledgement that will take place within the human being, which will be far beyond any rational conviction.
All right, number one,
and it is a type of reason in itself, right?
Okay.
So number one, read the Quran, read the fundamental message of the Quran. It will resonate with the human soul.
Okay.
Right. Number two, when you read the Quran, you will see that there is for a book that's revealed over 23 years. That's older than some people have been alive.
You're joining it with point number one because
it links in.
Okay.
Right, it links in. A book that's revealed over 23 years, you will, when you read the Quran, when you read it, you will think that it's been written in probably one day, and it's been double, triple checked just to make sure for consistencies.
Yeah.
It is the most consistent book I would say on the face of this earth.
When you say consistent, what do you mean?
Consistent. Take for example, as far as its core fundamental message of who God is concerned. There is consistency. There is nothing that will go against. You won't read in one part of the Quran that God is one, and in another part that God is 3 or 4.
Okay, in that sense.
It's consistent with His doctrine.
Okay, with His
eternally,
doctrine.
completely consistent, right?
Okay.
Third thing I would say
what was the second thing though?
So the second thing is the consistency of the Quran. When you read it, you will recognize that
it's a consistent book.
And I think there's an element of a miracle here as well, which is that a book that's revealed over 23 years. There were no editing processes at the time. There were no computers where you could sit down and sift through and reread and change X, Y, Z. It was an oral revelation, bro.
Okay.
It was orally revealed, written down later, right? That fact, 23 years, and yet the message, and remember, most of the verses were coming down addressing certain situations that were unfolding at the time, right? It wasn't that just revelation for the sake of revelation. It was addressing situations. Yet there is a beautiful consistency and coherence in the Quran as far as His message is concerned.
All right, number three.
Number two. Number three, I would say, is the impact, and this is something experiential, going back to the point of the sugar I mentioned. And I can mention 101 things, bro, but I think these are the things that really matter.
Okay.
When you taste Islam and you start to experience it for yourself, we're all experiential as human beings. We go by experience. If something feels good, we go with it.
That's what I'm saying.
You want to go on a good diet, it feels good, like you said earlier, you go with it, you stick to it, right?
That's it.
Yeah, you're not going to eat broccoli and tuna, and if it makes you collapse and say, I'm going to stick to broccoli and tuna.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's experience, bro, yeah?
Amen, brother.
Yeah, so you taste it for yourself. Taste it for yourself, and you will know, if you are sincere, you will know it's the truth, right? Okay.
So experience it. But practical things like, all right, he's talking about experience, you're reading the book. All right, give us some solid proofs, mate. Give us proof. Yeah, there's a God, mate. Where's the proof, mate? I don't see God. None of that.
So
mate.
Here's the thing, bro. I think there's something else needs to be clarified here.
Yeah.
Is that unfortunately we live in a world which has been, the framework that's been constructed of thinking is seeing is believing.
Yeah.
That's what we're taught in our educational institutions. That's how we're taught to think. That's how we're taught to, come to conclusions and beliefs. If you really understand how we come to truth, there's many routes to knowledge. It's not only empiricism. It's not only seeing is believing.
Is that what empiricism is?
Yeah, it's the scientific method. It's like, okay, you can see something, you can observe it, therefore it exists. If you can't see and observe it, therefore it doesn't exist.
Okay.
That's not true, right? There's testimony, there's intuition, there's experience. There's a whole lot of other means through knowledge. Reason and rationality, just
a lot of stuff we learn from testimony, isn't it?
Science is based on testimony.
A lot of our textbooks and geography facts and animal facts.
Absolutely. Look, I always ask this question to atheists: do you believe your mother is your mother?
That's a bit rude, bro.
Well, do you believe your?
Why are you?
Do you believe your dear mother is your mother?
Yeah, that's better, bro.
Your beloved dear mother is your mother.
Alright, you're going a bit over the top now.
Okay, but you get the point. Everyone believes their mother is their mother.
Yeah.
How many of them have done a DNA test?
Smashed it. It's testimony, isn't it?
Oh, I can do a DNA test. Yeah, but that's a potential. Yeah. Right now, you believe in your mother not based on a potential test you can do.
Blind belief.
Yeah, it's not blind. It's based on testimony, authentic testimony of your mother, of your father, of your siblings, X, Y, and Z.
The doctor, yeah.
Scientists doing research in science is based. What is it? You're basing your work on previous scientists.
And Dr. John Gray.
Dr. John Gray. Okay, who's John Gray?
The guy you told me at the start, philosopher.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's a philosopher. Maybe a doctor as well. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I thought you were trying to catch me out again.
No. But I already did catch you up.
Could call me out more than enough times, man, today. Anyway, yeah, hopefully that it gives people food for thought, what we've talked about today.
Okay, so you want to give them just a bit of a taster. Yeah. You do have videos where you've gone into these things with a bit more depth than you've given us.
Yeah, we're putting out new content. There's a new show that we're putting out called Epistemics.
It's like one episode a decade.
At the moment, there's one episode which came out last week. The next one's out next Wednesday, inshallah.
By the time you release the next one, everything will probably be in VR, isn't it?
I'll probably be all grey by then. And
John Gray, yeah.
John Gray,
you can be Iqbal Gray.
Iqbal Gray.
Ek baal grey. Got one hair and even that's grey.
Oh, okay, I get that.
You know what I mean?
I get that joke.
It's went over you, isn't it?
Over the hair follicles.
That's what I'm saying. All right, bro. Give us some where we've got some juicy few minutes at the end, bro. I want to hear some of your best speakers corner arguments that even you were like, yo, they hit the sweet spot that you can arm us with, the people that are watching, and they're like, look, this podcast has been dead. I mean, why did it even happen? It just seemed pretty pointless, useless at some times.
Yeah.
Let's give our loyal fans something at the end that they'll be like, yo, Iqbal has really come prepared.
But you know, Iqbal was a genius.
I know, but
That's
can you
topic.
just
Okay, so look, practical stuff, bro. First and foremost, I would say, look,
solid arguments, bro.
don't
Hit me.
But here's the thing. Let me give you a premise, a foundational point that we need to understand about arguments.
Okay.
We shouldn't argue with people for the sake of arguing, right? Arguments are there as a means to awaken the truth within people. Unfortunately, sometimes we just argue with people just to win the argument.
Yeah.
We don't care about the internal state of where they go, right?
That's true.
I was in that boat as well. I think the video you were referring to was with an atheist in Speaker's Corner, where he got stuck on the point of logic and reason.
You smashed it, mate.
Although I did make many mistakes in that video, which I know of and most people don't know of.
Yeah, you smashed it. All right, give us some juice.
So juice. First thing is this. I would say
the juice that helped you when you were agnostic. Just whatever, mate.
I would say really get the atheist to think about what it means for them to call themselves atheist, right?
Okay.
So to mention some of the things we mentioned in this podcast, such as what's the purpose of your life? Where do you get purpose from? Where's the value? Where's the meaning, right? For example, what's the difference between you, dear atheist, and this bottle of water? This is arrangement of atoms and molecules. You are an arrangement of atoms.
If he's like, all right, cool, you come up with a deadly point.
Yeah.
All right, why should I believe in God? What you gonna say?
Okay, good. So just to satisfy his rational craving, you can give him the Quranic argument for God's existence. Allah says in the 52nd chapter, verse 35 and 36, or were they created by nothing, or were they the creators of themselves, or did they create the heavens and the earth?
So we were created from nothing.
But out of nothing comes.
They say, well, at the moment, you know what they say, like science hasn't reached there yet, but we know Big Bang and there was like a nebula.
Yeah, but then you have to remind them that science is just based on the observable. Anything beyond the physical universe, they can't tell you about anyway, right? So sometimes they play with words and try to confuse you, but no, just really dig a bit deeper. Know that you have the truth. If you don't understand something someone is saying, don't feel it a point to just, oh my God, he knows what he's talking about, I don't know my stuff. Ask them. Right? The cure to ignorance is to ask and learn. Right? So ask them genuinely. So look, I don't understand what you're saying. Tell me what you're talking about. Right? And then when they start to explore a bit, you'll probably realize they don't know what they're talking about themselves. Yeah. So ask them, how can something come from nothing? Out of nothing comes. Right? That's a very reasonable point. Could you create yourself or make yourself? Of course not. Because to create yourself, you have to already exist.
What about God though?
Well, why are you assuming God is created? That's your assumption. Right? We believe in an uncreated creator who doesn't have a beginning. But
you got evil and everything, and why would God allow all this evil to?
That's a whole other topic in itself. We'll be here for another 2 hours if you want.
But what's the bullet? What's the silver bullet?
The silver bullet is this. The biggest bullet, right? Is this. So the biggest bullet is this, yeah. Even if the problem of evil exists, it doesn't mean there is no God.
But it means that the God is not merciful as we keep claiming.
But you were trying to deny God based on the problem of evil. So at least acknowledge it doesn't deny God's existence. It's not an argument against God's existence.
Okay, interesting.
So let's come through the door first, right?
Interesting.
The only thing the problem of evil could do is give you the misunderstanding of who God is. That God is evil, right? It doesn't deny God's existence. Yeah, there is a God.
Wow.
And then bro, it's a very beautiful, in our tradition, the Prophet ﷺ,
this is better than your Pink Panther point.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ said that, the amazing is the condition of the believer. When something good happens, I'm paraphrasing, when something good happens to him, he's grateful, and when something, a trial or affliction afflicts him, he's patient, right? We realize that life is a test, right? We will be tested, Allah tells us, with the loss of life and wealth and etc., right? We'll be tested with these things. We're not in paradise. See, the atheist approaches you the problem of evil assuming this life is supposed to be paradise.
Smashed it.
It's not. We're here to be tested, right? Also, another point you can make is, how do we grow as human beings? It's through facing resistance. Whenever you've gone through a hard time in your life and you come out the other side, you become a better person, a more useful person.
Yes.
Going back to your beautiful point you made about the seedling under the soil. Maybe you want to share it again. I love that point. That's an Iqbal moment right there.
That's a Dobal moment there.
That's a full head of hair moment there, bro.
That's somewhere that none of us fit in that category.
Yeah, but I think that was a very profound point, bro.
It's that the seed is put through manure and darkness and twigs and stuff, and it grows, and only when it grows does it flower, and we benefit from it.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is the thing, you grow through trials and tribulations. Also, how could we appreciate what good is and courage is if we didn't see the opposite of these things?
So what helped you when you were an agnostic?
It was that crisis. I couldn't live with that dissonance inside me.
Okay.
That pain, the anxiety of thinking that you were just this accident that's gonna die. I had to find answers.
But maybe that pain was just biryani just lodged, like in one of the, or just indigestion. How can you know that pain was?
Biryani doesn't lodge for months and years, bro. Biryani just passes through you eventually after 24 hours, 48 hours. Yeah? It can do, yeah.
Rough.
Depending on how much chaat masala you put in that.
Smashed
in that thing, man.
You've gone chaat masala on me now, bro.
Yeah, chaat masala, bro.
You've gone full-fledged.
Bro, Pakistani chaat masala is the thing, bro. Magic ingredient.
You have taken us on a dirt road of atheism, bro. Normally, people go through a generic path, ask generic questions. Yeah? Yeah, exactly. Generic questions. We've taken a different route.
Yeah.
And we've explored much more on this uncharted territory known as atheism.
Can I just make one point?
Of course you can.
I think if we were to summarize everything, one of the things I'm trying to say is the atheist, if he really thinks about his position, he's not even in the position to challenge God's existence. He's not even in that position.
No?
Because as soon as you deny God, you can't make sense of anything. So you're starting with this huge negative, this vacuum.
Yeah.
Right? So even your ability to reason, how do you account for it? So I would say the atheist, if he really thinks about his position, he's not even in the position to challenge God's existence.
Smashed it.
Yeah, so it's something to think about,
Wow.
Paradigm shift stuff.
That really is a dirt road moment, bro. We've come across so much through that dirt road that people on the highway.
I'm not really appreciating your adjectives, but
no, bro. When you make
dirt road,
all right, we made our own path, our own dirt road. So we've come across entire ecosystems and
biryani and Pink Panther on the way, and
Frank Sinatra,
all of these guys,
John Gray, and massaging the leg,
kisses, and
that's, bro. We show affection, bro.
That's it, bro.
We show affection, but bro, Jazakallah, you've given the alternative. You've given us a lot of food for thought. Check the description. This guy uploads once every decade or every blue moon. So check it out.
Once every week now from now on, inshallah.
No way.
Inshallah.
We're going to hold you to it then, bro.
Yeah, I'm saying it here live, inshallah. Yeah? Once every week, inshallah.
So hit the bell icon on his page and do the same. Until next time, guys.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
It's a wrap.
Bro, dealing with this guy is like worse than dealing with any atheist.
Bro, you look really red on the camera.